Lisa Haven here. Just a quick reminder, don't forget, sign up for RestrictedRepublic.com, a platform that I kicked off with Justice Night, and it is there that I not only share restricted content and uncensored content, but also content that Justice and I get to do together. So lots of good stuff. Use the code TRUTH to get that monthly discounted rate. All right, so in today's report, I have a bombshell of a report, and it's good news, but also terrifying news. What am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about China and the US. Our relationships are about to go, or the relationship between the two countries is about to go from bad to worse. In fact, Congress has just made one of the most critical foreign policy decisions of this entire century that could ultimately lead us into war with the country. Now, I actually agree with what they did. But what am I talking about? I'm talking about the United States unanimously passing a bill that's called Hong Kong Human Rights and Democracy Act of 2019. This act, I support 100%. In fact, it was unanimously voted for by Congress. But let me take you to the act first so you can see what it's about. So here it is up on the screen. And this is what it says. The bill directs various departments to assess whether political developments in Hong Kong justify changing Hong Kong's unique treatment under U.S. law. Hong Kong is part of China, but has a largely separate legal and economic system. The Department of State shall report annually to Congress as to whether Hong Kong is sufficiently autonomous from China to justify its unique treatment. The report shall address issues including civil liberties in Hong Kong, and two, how the erosion to Hong Kong's autonomy impacts areas of U.S.-Hong Kong cooperation. The Department of Congress shall report annually to Congress on China's efforts to use Hong Kong to evade U.S. export control and sanctions. Let me just pause right there. In just that first passage, this is what Congress is saying, is they're telling Hong Kong, if you want to continue to receive those special trade deals that we've offered you, then you need to prove every single year annually to the United States of America that you are autonomous. In other words, that you are governing yourself outside of Beijing. Because here's the key. For years, we've always had differences of trade. We've done trade and commerce one way with China, and we've done trade and commerce another way with Hong Kong. So Congress just simply says, if you want to keep that going, make sure you're free from China. And basically, those deals are going to get better. This is a straight up slap in the face to China, a dictator, a communist who is rounding up people into re-education camps. So I am all for this congressional bill, and I agree and stand with it wholeheartedly because it basically protects the protesters there. But you know what? Congress even added a little more verbiage to that. Let me show you the other half of that particular bill. And it states this. If the president determines that Hong Kong has proposed or enacted legislation that puts U.S. citizens at risk of extradition to mainland China or to another country that lacks the defendant's rights of protections, the president shall report to Congress on 1, a strategy for protecting U.S. citizens and businesses in Hong Kong, and 2, whether Hong Kong is legally competent to administer various law enforcement agreements between Hong Kong and the U.S. The State Department may not deny work or student visa applications from an otherwise qualified Hong Kong resident due to a politically motivated adverse action by the Hong Kong government against the applicant. The president shall report to Congress a list of individuals responsible for committing acts that violate internationally recognized human rights in Hong Kong, including the extradition, rendition, or torture of any persons in Hong Kong. The bill bars such individuals from entering the United States and imposes sanctions on them. This bill is going after the corrupt governments within Hong Kong and Beijing. It goes directly against them. And to put it more simply, it calls the president to basically impose sanction against foreign officials who commit human rights violations against the protesters. That's huge. And it even takes it a step further. It requires basically the executive branch to develop a strategy on how to protect American citizens that go to Hong Kong. Let's protect our citizens from extradition to China. Let's protect our citizens from torture to China. Basically, Hong Kong, you're not going to take American citizens and ship them over to China. or any tyrannical regime. That's what it also imposes. And it also requires a report annually to be submitted to Congress on violations of export control laws and UN sanctions there in the Hong Kong. This is good for the people of Hong Kong. Let me just interject a little bit. You see, if people are suffering in Hong Kong, we have Christians, Falun Gong, and Muslims literally being murdered, tortured, and killed. Hey, but China just wants to pretend like they're going to get brainwashed via a re-education camp. Whatever you want to call it, it is wrong on so many levels. But this is exactly what's happening. Why are we turning a blind eye? It's like turning a blind eye to a Stalin or a Mao or a Hitler. Now, this is exactly where Xi Jinping is headed. And he wants to rule the world. He wants his money to be the change, the money, the currency of the globe. They are committing so many violations. And Hong Kong, some in the Hong Kong government are working with them, just like we have deep state agents here in the U.S. working with globalists against us here in America. Now, one last thing about this bill that I want to mention is it hasn't hit the president's desk just yet, right? But it will. And when it does, I'm not quite sure what he's going to do with it, because if he signs this, it can literally spark a war with China. And I don't put it against them, because I'm about to show you China's response to this particular bill in a moment. But I think it could absolutely spark war, or if not, make things absolutely devastating and severe for us economically. Who knows? They can start cashing out their money on our land. They have Hollywood control. They have power here in the U.S. So I'm not quite sure what would happen between China and the U.S. if this were to be signed. That said, the president can veto it. However, and I'm not suggesting that. I think we should just go for it. That's my opinion. However, if the president does veto it for whatever reason, I'm not saying he will or won't, because I don't know what's going to happen. But if he was to veto it, all I'm simply saying is Congress can override that veto easily, considering all of them unanimously agreed. So basically, Trump really doesn't have a say in the matter, because all of Congress has already voted on it and agreed to it unanimously. This is a huge, huge step. I guess, as I said in the beginning, one of the most critical foreign policies this entire century lies in our lap and lies in the lap of Congress right now. And this is coming at the time of President Trump trying to make trade deals with China. So it's like now Trump has been silent on the issue with the passage of this particular legislation, but I don't think President Trump has any other option but to sign it. All right? That said, the next question then is, how is China responding? What is Beijing doing, right? So that's the question we need to address. Well, the foreign minister or spokesperson Wang Shang has issued a very strong statement. I'm going to read to you part of that statement. So here it is on the screen. On November 19th, the U.S. Senate passed the Hong Kong Bill of Rights on Human Rights and Democracy. The bill disregards the facts, confuses right and wrong, violates the axioms, plays the double standards, openly intervenes in Hong Kong affairs, interfering in China's international affairs, and seriously violates the basic norms of international law and international relations. The Chinese side strongly condemns and resolutely opposes this. Now, the next paragraph I'm going to skip, but it just talks about how bad China thinks the protesters are and how they want to punish them, okay? So let's pause right there. Real quick, the first part is saying, America bad, that's a no-no, China rules, right? Let's go on. Since the return of Hong Kong to the motherland, the practice of one country, two system has achieved universally recognized success. Hong Kong residents enjoy unprecedented democratic rights and fully exercise various freedoms in accordance with the law. The relevant bills of the U.S. Congress completely ignore, they say, the objective facts and completely ignore the well-being of Hong Kong residents, which it doesn't. For the ulterior political purpose, the Hong Kong violent elements are smashed, bullying and attacking innocent citizens, forcibly occupying campuses and besieging young students. Organized attacks on the police and other criminal acts are striving for the pursuit of human rights and democracy. The purpose to support extreme forces and violent elements in the anti-China chaos and to undermine Hong Kong's prosperity and stability so that they can borrow Hong Kong. The problem hinders the sinister plot of China's development. This bad behavior of the United States not only harms China's interest, but also undermines the important interest of the United States itself in Hong Kong. Any attempt by the U.S. to intervene in China's internal affairs and hinder China's development will not succeed. In the end, it will only be a waste of effort. Yes, that is the threat. The threat continues. I want to stress once again that Hong Kong is China's Hong Kong, and Hong Kong affairs are purely China's internal affairs. It's our affairs, you stay out. We are telling the U.S. to recognize the situation and take the plunge. We will immediately take measures to prevent the case from becoming a law. We will immediately stop interfering in Hong Kong affairs and interfering in China's internal affairs so as not to ignite the fire and suffer from self-sufficiency. If the U.S. side is willing to go on its own way, China will surely take effective measures to resolutionly counteract and firmly safeguard national sovereignty, security, and developmental interests. So, according to China, they'll immediately stop interfering in Hong Kong. You mean China's Hong Kong? I don't know. If the U.S. is willing to go its own way, they say, China will surely take effective measures to resolutely counteract and safeguard national sovereignty. Because they've done such a good job. Sarcasm in the past. You know, here's the thing. We have citizens in both China and people in Hong Kong. I guess in China, you have people going, meeting their death. You have churches having to put up a picture of the president to worship the president versus worshiping Jesus versus anything of that nature. All churches, all religions pretty much, they have to worship Xi Jinping. This is sick and absurd, not to mention the murdering and organ donors and the organ trafficking network that has existed for years there in China. These are massive atrocities. And then China is threatening basically to take that beyond his borders. This is what he's doing with Hong Kong. Oh, it's part of us, right? And it is, in a way, but they've been allowed to govern themselves. So people in Hong Kong are suffering because they're scared for their lives. They don't want to be shipped over to China. And they're literally holding up American flags of freedom, asking for our help. That's what's going on. So because I stand on the love of humanity, on freedom of all people, and this is exactly what is happening against the people there in Hong Kong, their freedoms are at risk, then I stand with that. That's why I stand with this congressional bill. I'm shocked. Some are good, some are not good, but I'm shocked they were all actually able to come to the agreement on this. But like I said in the beginning of this video, this could lead to some massive chaos between China and the United States of America, depending on how China responds to it, and only time will really tell. Anyhow, please don't forget to check out my partner. I actually got a new one here, and I want to show you guys. This is freaking awesome. This is patriotcups.com. And you can see one here. I've got a picture of President Trump there with his signature, by the way. And then there's one here with Pence with his signature. And then there's also a third one here I want to show you, and it's got both of them on there, both their images, Trump and Pence. So it's like your red, white, and blue. Pretty cool stuff. But I want to encourage you to check them out at patriotcups.com. If you use the code HAVEN20, you get a discount of 20% on the entire package. But this is basically a great collector's item. You can see how big they are, and the inside there, they've got that stainless steel on the inside, but these things are freaking awesome. I plan on buying quite a few as presents for my family members this holiday season. And that Black Friday special is good all month to get it for 20% off. Use the code HAVEN20. Anyhow, thanks again for tuning into my channel here. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.